I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Tyler.
You're supposed to say that part. Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Tyler, and we are 20 years old, and we're from Indianapolis, Indiana.
And we have a little boy named Karsten who's 8 weeks old.
Today, for our first video to kick off our YouTube channel, we're going to do a Q&A. We told you guys to ask us some questions. Question number one, where do you guys see yourselves in 5 years?
Do you want me to answer first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I hope that we have at least one more kid, maybe two. We want to space our kids out like 2 years apart. Hopefully they'll be completely out of diapers before we go on to the next, hopefully own a home of our own.
Definitely say number one is own our own house. I would love more kids, but I would like to be in a more stable, living environment. Not that we're not, but I just think, there's something cool to be said about owning your own place.
What do you guys do for a living? Go ahead.
So I work at Crew Car Wash, and that's fairly new. Been there for about a month now, and I'm loving it. And I'm about to start school back up, so that's exciting.
I'm a cosmetologist, and I started working at the Dry Bar doing blowouts on August 6th. So I started working at my salon 3 days after I graduated, which was like super, super awesome and a huge blessing. How did you know you guys wanted to be, wanted your life to be like this so young?
I grew up with younger parents.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think that just, growing up, I'm 20 years old and my parents are in their 40s, younger 40s. So it's super cool to be able to relate, and I always liked that as a child, and I always, kind of wanted that for my child. Not that, I got married so young because I wanted that specifically, but that's just, growing up with younger parents, I think it just kind of prepared me.
For the same lifestyle.
Yeah, to be a young parent.
It was a huge influence, not in a bad way, just because, it was a good influence for us, because we obviously were like, oh, my parents are awesome. I love that my parents are so young, so that's why we were like, oh yeah, we want that.
Right.
For me, I always thought that I would get married young, but I think that mainly for me, my career, being a cosmetologist, I graduated from high school and I was in cosmetology school for roughly a year, and so by 19 years old, I was in my career full blown, ready to make money, ready for the rest of my life. Whenever most kids that are 19 years old, they've just finished their freshman year in college. So I feel like my career also really set me up for being married young and having kids young. But like I said, I always wanted kids young. I always wanted to be married young. That's just kind of how I saw my life going. Mm-hmm. What was Karsten's name gonna be if he was a girl?
Charlotte.
No. I never liked that name. And then I came up with the name Tinsley, which I really liked for a little while. And then we started talking, and I was like, could you imagine having a 30-year-old daughter named Tinsley? And so I was just like, I can't do that name. And so I was like, well, hopefully we don't have a girl, because we don't have a girl name.
Honestly, we didn't have one.
And then we found out that Karsten was going to be a boy, and we were like, oh, perfect. But we also threw around the fact that Karsten probably could have been a girl's name too. Yeah. But we didn't really want that. We really wanted to name our boy Karsten.
Yeah. Okay. How do you keep Jesus at the center of your relationship?
Go ahead. You go first.
It's super simple for me, because I would not have met her without Jesus. I feel like our whole relationship started because of Jesus. When we met, we're going to do a whole nother video on how we met, but long short of it, I had just gotten saved a few months back and given my life to Christ, and was living my life totally different, in a more Christ-based, I had a more Christ-based lifestyle, and once I really focused on my relationship with the Lord, He blessed me with another relationship. So I feel like, how can I not keep Him at the center of it when my entire relationship was orchestrated because of Him?
Yeah, it's a huge motivation for sure, knowing that it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for both of us loving the Lord. And right now we're trying to find a church closer to home, just because we do have Karsten now, and so going to church, which is normally like a 2-hour service, is kind of hard with an 8-week-old.
Yeah.
Just because you never know what could happen. I mean, we were going to get up to go to church this past Sunday, and he woke up screaming bloody murder because his stomach hurt so bad. So, like, it's just really hard to continue to go to church. So we're trying to find a church where we are close enough to home, that we enjoy, but that maybe also will have, like, live streaming. So that's another thing that, like, we're kind of struggling to find a church right now. So if you have any church ideas of where we... Suggestions, then let us know. Next question was, how was your childhood and how was being raised? Like, how were you raised, I think is what the question was.
Yeah. Me or you?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I grew up pretty spoiled. I don't know how else to put it. I called and someone always answered, got what I wanted, that type of, I was just a brat pretty much. So,
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. So,
nice
definitely I was not raised in a, religious household at all. That was something that, I chose that route myself. But yeah, I mean, I think, I'm sure she'll go into more detail of how she was raised, but that's part of the reason. Our childhoods and the way we were brought up is definitely part of the reason we mesh so well, and part of the reason we argue sometimes, because
we were raised like polar opposite.
Yeah.
Like he said, he was pretty spoiled, which that's not a bad thing to an extent.
Yeah, I was blessed, but
yes, very blessed.
Yeah.
And not that I wasn't spoiled, but I wasn't spoiled materialistically.
Yeah.
I was spoiled in relationships and in love, which I'm so thankful for. Not that he wasn't, that's not what I'm saying, but just
it was a more vocalized love.
Yeah.
Like, my family never said I love you. Like, that was foreign to me. Up until this past December, actually. But I'll go into that in a whole nother vlog. But yeah.
Another video, but yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But so I was just really spoiled with like love and with relationships. And so my family is like super, super close. So we were both raised really, really different. Also, his parents had like stayed married and my parents got divorced. But we both had really good childhoods, I would say. We were blessed. Yeah, we were definitely blessed. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, the next question, what made you guys want to start a YouTube channel?
What made us start YouTube is like, since we met, we were like, maybe one day we'll start a YouTube channel. And then we had Karsten, and we were like, he's 8 weeks old. Like, we might as well start it, because how cool will it be for him to be able to just like look back on his life, like all of these cool events, like his birthday parties or his first Christmas, that kind of thing. So we're about to get into the holidays, so we were like, what better way to capture it all?
When are you guys going to have more kids? Sooner than later. For sure.
Tyler would have another kid tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely, we both are on the same page. We want me to be completely healed. Not that I'm not yet, but like hormones back to normal and all of that first. Our doctors to be like, yeah, it's totally okay. Like, you guys will have a healthy baby if you do it again. And then... not only that, but we really, really want Karsten to be out of diapers first, because changing 2 kids' diapers would be really hard.
I think it's, God's time for sure. Yeah. Because, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but we actually lost a child.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother, topic of conversation, but we lost a child, and, we're blessed with Karsten, obviously, shortly after that, but I think that right there just really,
put into perspective.
Yeah, that
it's all God's timing, truly. And we're allowing it to be, but we hope that I hope personally that it's not for 2 years, because I know that changing 2 babies' diapers every single day would be really, really fun.
Yeah.
And then the next question was, what's your favorite thing about being a new mom or dad? Go first.
My favorite thing about being a dad. I think for sure just the fact that I have a whole new purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's really hard to explain. I've talked to people that have kids, and all say, you know, when you hold your first baby for the, you know, for the first time, your entire mindset changes. And, you know, she was 9 months pregnant, and I'm like, oh, I'm ready, you know, whatever. But when I first held Karsten, it was like, it just hit the nail on the head. Like, it's not even explainable, really.
Yeah.
You know, it, like, you know, it's just a totally different lifestyle. Like, that's my son. You know what I mean? Like, nobody can take that away from you. Like, you will forever be that boy's dad. I will always be that boy's dad. And it's kind of like, you know, that's the first thing I wake up in the morning and think about and hear. But, I mean, he's awesome. And, you know, yeah.
For me, I've always been a nurturer, and I've always loved, embarrassingly enough, I've always loved people to depend on me. I don't know why. It's just how God made me. And so I think I love that I just have someone that I can care for 24/7 that, like, literally relies on me. Like Tyler said, it gives me a sense of purpose. But another thing that I really love is just the fact that, like, not only that I get to nurture him, but it's just so, it's made me realize, like, how creative God is. Because, like, not that every mom should breastfeed, that's not what I'm saying, but I do breastfeed. And so I just think that it's super cool that not only was my body able to create a human, but my body's also able to be, like, his food source, which is just so mind-blowing to me. And it just goes to show how creative God is, and that's just in one realm that he's creative. And so it's really, like, not, I don't really know how to word it. Like you said, like, it's just so hard to explain.
It is.
The next question is your pregnancy, birth story, and how did you feel? Which we're going to do a whole nother video about that. But the few things that I did want to say, he wasn't born on his due date. He was born 2 weeks early, the day after our maternity shoot, actually. And then
2 weeks to the day.
Yeah. And then we literally did our maternity shoot, and I woke up, like, less than 12 hours later and was like, okay, we're having a baby. And then during my pregnancy, I was exhausted, but I worked full time as well. And then I was sick basically my whole entire pregnancy, but I slept great, which is awesome. And then the other thing that I wanted to say is, like, my whole entire pregnancy, I just stuck with the mindset that, like, there's so many women that would kill to be in my position of having a child. So it made it really hard to complain to anyone other than Tyler. So he heard all of the complaints. The next question.
How did you guys meet?
Which we're going to do a whole nother video about that. I DM'd him because I was trying to just tell him that I was praying for him and that I would be a friend of his.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, and then we went out to eat, and then basically the rest was history. But yeah, I messaged him with no intentions of this. But that's just how this ended up.
Yeah.
Next question. How do you get quality time with your hubby while living your busy lives? Go ahead. We're really bad at this.
To be honest,
really
we don't.
bad about getting quality time.
You know, that's just part of it, dealing with it, because there's going to be times in life where
you don't.
You don't have free time.
Yeah.
When you could have free time, something else needs done.
Yeah.
You know, and I just feel like, you know, that's another reason we're doing this, the whole YouTube thing.
We do still spend a lot of time together, but we have our friends over all the time. We're always with our family, and so
yeah.
If we're hanging out with a group of people, pretty much.
Right.
Okay, and then the last question is, what's the hardest thing about being a new parent? I know my answer. I can go first.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so my answer would definitely have to be, like, so running errands whenever you just have to run in for, like, one or two things is super hard.
I feel like the hardest thing for me is if I wanted to hang out with my friends after work, or if I wanted to, you know, go grab some food after work, alone or with my friends, or anything. If I wanted to do anything other than my normal lifestyle routine now, you know, I have to not get permission, but
we have to communicate.
Yeah, like, I can't just, not that I would rather do that, but, like, it's just, you know what I mean? That's the hardest part.
You can't just drop your kid and be like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to do now.
I think that's the hardest part.
Yeah. But anyway, that was all of our questions.
So yeah, that's it.
But just make sure that you like and subscribe and turn on our post notifications and follow us on social media. And then in our next video, we're going to be doing a giveaway, which is like...
pretty awesome giveaway, too.
So stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
But
So, yeah.
All right,
Thanks for
bye.
watching. Bye.